the Dodgers got that big victory, or the Yankees rather, as Roy White led it off with a home run. And those Yankee fans reacted. And Mr. Dependable, Roy White, got it started. Don Sutton, a tough night for him. The Yankees in the first inning, 1-0. The big story, though, was not the bat. It was the glove, and it belonged to Greg Nettles. That's just one of the plays that he made. You'll be seeing more as our pregame show continues. Reggie Jackson continues his clutch hitting, drives in a run. New York 4, Los Angeles 1. It was not a typical Ron Guidry game. He struggled, but he had enough when he needed it. And the final score, New York 5, Los Angeles 1. The series stands 2-1 as we take a beautiful shot of Yankee Stadium in the Bronx, New York. The 1978 World Series pregame show is brought to you by B.F. Goodrich, makers of the Advantage. Just one tire from the best line of radios we've ever made. B.F. Goodrich, the other guys. And by the Timex Marathon Quartz Digital. It can take it like a Timex. The pitchers, as we look at them, Tommy John for the Dodgers, Ed Figueroa for the New York Yankees. We have had some rain, and Tom, it is forecast occasional showers. It doesn't look like it now, but what does that do to a pitcher? I've heard pitchers just moan when they have delays.
Well, the problem that might occur, Joe, is let's say a pitcher goes out to the bullpen, he cranks up, he comes into the game, and then we have a downpour during the game. He's got to go in the clubhouse, change his sweatshirt, sit around for 30 or 40 minutes, come out and try to get loose again. That's when he might fight some stiffness.
Well, Kurt Gowdy has been talking to Lemon, has he not?
He's been talking to him about a lot of the stuff that's going on with his pitching staff.
So let's go down to Kurt Gowdy, who asked Bob Lemon some pertinent questions about his choice.
First, Joe, let's take a look at the ground conditions. I'm in foul area, and it's a little bit muddy here. The outfield, I walked the outfield, it's soft. Jimmy Esposito, the head groundskeeper here at Yankee Stadium, says the drainage system is good, and they can take more rain. It drizzled here all morning. No batting or fielding practice taken. The tarp was on all night. The infield is in good shape, slightly slow, which should be in favor of a sinker ball pitcher, Tommy Johns. He makes them hit it into the ground. If it something happened here with bad weather suddenly coming on, the game was called, they would play Monday. Tuesday would be the traveling day. If they went to Game 6, it would be then Wednesday night in Los Angeles. But Greg Nettles is the big story here at Yankee Stadium. And we'll be back to talk to Greg right after this message. To say the best, the greatest, can open a flood of arguments in sport. Everywhere I've gone around Yankee Stadium today, veteran observers, the ball players are saying that Greg Nettles gave the greatest defensive performance from any position in the history of the World Series. When you want a fair appraisal, go to the opposition. I think Reggie Smith of the Dodgers really summed it up. He said, taking nothing away from Ron Guidry, the World Series stands right now. The Los Angeles Dodgers 2 games, Greg Nettles 1 game. And now it all started back for Nettles in Game 2 in Los Angeles, where he started his fielding heroics. Let's take a look there. This is the 3rd inning. Yeager the batter. Here's a dive to his left by Nettles. He has a remarkable ability to get up off the ground and make the throw. That's Garvey with a smash down the line, and another great stop by Nettles. Now Dusty Baker. This is still the 4th inning of Game 2. Look at the whirl, the ballet movement. Moving on to Yankee Stadium, Guidry pitching. Reggie Smith sends a rocket down the third base line. He's up, and the throw's on, and the crowd roared. Guidry now pitching to Reggie Smith in the 5th inning. Wham, another smash. That one saved a couple of runs. He couldn't make the play, but it would have been down in the corner for at least a double. Garvey with the bases loaded. And again, Nettles breaks the Dodger heart. It's the hot corner position, has been the nickname for it, and Nettles can really play it. You do or you don't there. This is a playoff Davy Loaf. So that's the way it went for Greg Nettles, and more to come. The sun has just popped out again. Speaking of Nettles, the combination last night, Nettles and Guidry, and right now, Tony Kubek has a conversation with him.
Ronnie, you said you made some good pitches, but you did need help from Greg, didn't you?
Well, that's true. You know, in my eyes, he's the best third baseman that I've ever seen since I've been playing. And like I said last night, you know, I've seen him make that play many times through the course of my 2 years here, and it was like it was routine.
It wasn't a routine game for Guidry. He usually strikes out more, Greg, but you really helped him out.
Well, I was happy to contribute. I know that I want them to hit the ball at me, and especially when a guy like Ronnie's pitching, he frees me to play a little deeper, and because he's so agile and quick off the mound. So, you know, maybe if it'd been another guy pitching, I might not have gotten those balls because I might have had to play in a little closer to the hitter.
You look like you almost had it pre-planned, Ronnie. Throw some sinkers down and in, or a slider down and in, make him hit it to Nettles.
Well, you know what? Sometimes he complains because I have an overpowering game and nobody hits the ball over there. So I'll let him earn his money. I'll let him hit the ball over there.
You said it was luck. It wasn't luck.
No, I don't see it as luck. Well, I just happened to be in the right place at the right time. You know, it's nice to get the exposure in a game like that, and especially in a big game that kept us from being blown away in the series.
I got a hunch that two friends of mine and yours too, Brooks Robinson and Pleatboard, two pretty great ones, were standing by watching on television and oohing and eyeing along with the rest of the fans. Ron Guidry, Greg Nettles, our thanks to you. Let's go now to Kurt Gowdy.
I'll never forget covering the World Series of 1970 and the play of Brooks Robinson. They called him the human vacuum cleaner, and he put on the same performance in the 5-game series that Nettles is displaying here in this series. There's a typical Brooks Robinson play in that series. In the 100th anniversary of baseball, Brooks was voted the greatest living third baseman in America. He hit .429 in that series. Nettles is not hitting right now, and Robinson was voted the most valuable player of the 1970 series with the Reds. Recently, we spoke to Brooks Robinson about his recall of that most valuable player award.
Well, that was kind of an unreal situation. I played almost 23 years professionally, and I never had 5 games that were like those 5 games where I was hitting as well and had a chance to make all the plays that I made. You know, you can play 2 weeks and really never get a chance to make a good play. In this particular series, it was bang, 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 bang every day. And I think the thing that most people don't realize, the first ball that was hit to me in that series in the first game, I threw wild to first base for an error. And I began to say to myself, uh-oh, it's going to be the New York Mets all over again. Here we go again. We can't win. But things turned around abruptly after that, and I had a great series and was the MVP.
Here they call Steve Garvey Mr. Nice Guy. Brooks Robinson was Mr. Nice Guy of his era. Now we're going to be back to take a look at some World Series arguments and also have a talk with the Dodger manager, Tommy Lasorda. But first, this message.
They're a part of baseball. We haven't had any in this World Series yet, but we have some film we'd like to show you, and I want you to especially pay attention to a discussion that Lasorda had with John McSherry on the mound. Watch this. Okay, let's go.
You stink, you bum!
Listen here. He went far enough for me.
Don't you be intimidating me.
I'm not intimidating you, but
Don't you be intimidating me.
I'm not intimidating you, but I'm going to tell you something. As far as I'm concerned, he went enough.
Well, that's good enough for me.
Okay.
But sometimes get some help on it, too, all right?
All right, buddy.
get you out of here. Hi, John. How are you? What would you do in this situation if you were managing this ball club, John?
You took this club in first, man.
I got a big decision to make, and I just don't know what to do. I thought maybe possibly could help me. John, I got a decision to make, and I just don't know. Whatever you think will be best, John, I'll go along with it because I know you're very knowledgeable. Very knowledgeable. Go. Get in there.
Whatever you think best, John, I'll go along with it. That's Lasorda. Well, Curt Gowdy asked him about umpires and then, well, a couple other things. Curt, here's what he had to say.
Tommy's been quiet as far as you, Lemon, and the umpires have been concerned in this World Series.
Well, I'll be very honest with you, Curt. I think the umpires have done a super job. I really am proud of the way they've been on the ball and they've been on top of everything. And I hope it continues that way because, after all, these fans and millions all over the world, they want to see the ball players play. They don't want to see us argue.
Anything surprised you so far in the series?
Mr. Nettles, I heard he was good, but I didn't think he was that great. I mean, that exhibition he put on yesterday was one of the finest single exhibitions I've ever seen a man do with a glove. Unbelievable. And then, after you watch him on television, then you become more aware of how tough they were because from the side they looked outstanding. But then when I saw the replays on TV, I didn't think there's any way this guy could catch those balls.
Who are you starting tomorrow?
We're going to start Bert Hooton. Bert pitched in our second game. He's been our most consistent pitcher throughout the year, and he pitched well. He won the second game at home, and we're going to go with Bert.
Tom Lasorda, the Dodger manager. NBC's 1978 coverage of the World Series continues right after this.
Tommy John for the Dodgers, Ed Figueroa for the Yankees. We're getting ready for Game 4, and it's just minutes away, and we'll return in a moment right after these messages from your local stations. Oh, yeah. This afternoon from Yankee Stadium, Game 4 of the 1978 World Series. The American League champions, the New York Yankees, versus the National League champions, the Los Angeles Dodgers. Brought to you by Chrysler Plymouth, who invites you to see the beautiful new Chrysler Newport and discover that now you can have it all right now. By Gillette, makers of Right Guard antiperspirant. Don't get dressed without it. And by Light Beer, everything you always wanted in a beer and less. Play ball! Well, for a while, it was doubtful whether we would play ball, but it looks like we're going to have a pretty nice day. They forecast some occasional showers, but right now it's pretty nice. It'll be Tommy John against Ed Figueroa. And Tom Seaver, I know you have some views on that.
I certainly do, Joe. Thank you. And for the Dodgers, it's going to be 35-year-old Tommy John, their left-hander. He started and won the first game of this World Series for the Los Angeles Dodgers out in Dodger Stadium. He's got that outstanding sinker. You'll see a lot of ground balls, a lot of infield outs in the Yankee lineup today. In 213 innings during the regular season, he gave up just 11 home runs. And for the Yankees, amidst some controversy, 20-game winner Ed Figueroa. Figueroa did not get the ball down in the strike zone. The Dodgers handled him very roughly. He was a starter and loser in that game number 1. For him to be effective, he's got to establish that he can get his curveball over, get the ball down in the strike zone. Earlier today, Curt Gowdy talked to Yankee manager Bob Lemon about that decision to start his starter, Ed Figueroa.
Bob Lemon, some people wonder why you're starting Ed Figueroa again. He's failed twice now in postseason for you.
Well, he's one of my best pitchers. We wouldn't be here unless Ed had won 20 ball games. I think anybody can have an off day with their control, and that's been his only problem. He's sound, and he has a type of assortment of pitches that I think can compete with the Dodgers. So I wish people would wait till after he pitches to second guess me, but I got to go with him because he's one of our best pitchers.
A lot of people forget that you started as a third baseman. Did you ever see a better game played at third than your Greg Nettles last night?
No, I haven't, and especially under the conditions, you know, with the bases loaded and men in scoring position. It seemed like all during the ball game, it was just amazing that he has the reflexes that he does and can get up off the ground as quick as anybody I've ever seen.
Well, if anybody appreciates defense, it's my partner, Tony Kubek. Tony, you marvel at him, but you marvel at any defensive play.
Well, I do. Other players do. Pitchers cannot get along without it. Remember back in the 1974 World Series, the Dodgers against the Oakland A's, there was a little second baseman. His name was Dick Green. He did not get one base hit in that World Series, and yet he finished second in the most valuable player voting. A point to consider, really, not just the great defense of Nettles and the Yankees so far in this series, inner defense, but the Dodgers have had some, well, they've stumbled, actually, at sometimes defensively, inner defense. They did last night, one game in Los Angeles, and with Tommy John throwing a lot of sinker balls, a lot of ground balls when he's right, if the Dodgers don't play defensively well behind him, the Yankees could give him trouble again today.
Well, we'll wait and see. The weather, again, was big news, but it's 68 degrees here. You can see it looks like a beautiful day for baseball. And let's go to the public address announcer, Bob Shepard, and meet the players.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Yankee Stadium and the fourth game of the 1978 World Series. Here are the National League champion Los Angeles Dodgers, non-starters, coaches, and trainers. And now, the Dodgers starting lineup for today's game. Batting first, the second baseman, number 15, Davy Lopes. Batting second, the shortstop, Bill Russell, number 18. Batting third, the right fielder, number 8, Reggie Smith. Batting fourth, the first baseman, number 6, Steve Garvey. Batting fifth, the third baseman, number 10, Ron Say. Batting sixth, the left fielder, number 12, Dusty Baker. Batting seventh, the designated hitter, number 16, Rick Monday. Batting eighth, the center fielder, number 4, Bill North. Batting ninth and catching, number 7, Steve Yeager. Warming up in the Dodger bullpen, number 25, pitcher Tommy John. And Dodger manager Tom Lasorda. Now, ladies and gentlemen, your world champion, New York Yankee non-starters, coaches, and trainers. The Yankees starting lineup for this afternoon. Batting first, the center fielder, number 2, Paul Blair. Batting second, the left fielder, number 6, Roy White. Batting third and catching, number 15, Herman Munson. Batting fourth, the designated hitter, number 44, Reggie Jackson. Batting fifth, the right fielder, number 14, Lou Piniella. Batting sixth, the third baseman, number 9, Greg Nettles.
There is Ginger Nettles, and applauding just like the rest of these Yankee fans for the job Nettles did last night. What a tribute. What a tribute.
Wow. Standing ovation for defensive play.
Batting seventh,
Unheard of.
the first baseman, number 10, Chris Chambliss.
Chambliss saying, how can I follow
Batting
that
eighth,
act?
the second baseman, number 11, Fred Stanley.
And lovely Lynn Stanley.
Batting ninth, the shortstop, number 20, Bucky Dent.
And that is Bucky's wife, Stormy Dent.
Warming up in the Yankee bullpen, the pitcher, number 31, Ed Figueroa. And the manager of the Yankees, Bob Lemon. Ladies and gentlemen, we invite you to stand, salute the colors as presented by the United States Armed Forces Police Color Guard, and join with the internationally famous Robert Merrill as we honor America with our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, those broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous night? O'er the ramparts we watched was so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still
NBC will bring you the fourth game of the World Series following the ceremonial first pitch right after this message. The preceding message was furnished by Major League Baseball.
Your attention, please, ladies and gentlemen. We now direct your attention to the box on the home plate side of the Yankee dugout, where to throw out today's ceremonial first pitch is the First Lady of the Yankees, Mrs. Lou Gehrig.
Mrs. Lou Gehrig, the First Lady of the Yankees, and she's got a pretty good arm, Tony.
Breaking ball. Must have been a remarkable man to see play. The Iron Horse, 2,130 consecutive games. That is unbelievable. The grand slams he hit, the pressure with men on base.
Talking about him on the way over here today, too, remember?
Right.
About how he got the job, Wally Pipp.
That's right.
Got a headache.
We're getting set here for Game 4. Robert Merrill sang the national anthem. Not that George Steinbrenner, the owner of the Yankees, is superstitious, but he made him wear the same suit, same tie. His wife had to wash the shirt, so he'd have everything on the same.
I talked to Bob last night. He said he's hitting about 800. Every time that he sings, they win about 80% of the time.
Well, we'll see today. They'll have Tommy John, a tough left-hander, and that infield looks like it's in perfect shape, although we had some rain last night. The temperature's 68 degrees. Neither ball club took batting practice, but I don't think you need batting practice this time of the year. Just loosen up, and that's it.
Some of the players weren't taking it anyway. The infield was covered, so it's dry most places. There's Tommy Lasorda, always up. Steve Garvey ready. Jim Lefevre, he's the man who took Jim Gilliam's place as first base coach and hitting instructor, the late Jimmy Gilliam. Terry Forster, not yet down to the bullpen. He'll be there later. There's Art Fowler, great friend of Billy Martin's. They've already told Art, who's talking to Fred Stanley, he will not be back next year. He's somewhat upset about it, but he said that's baseball.
Tony, while we got a chance here, let's run down the umpires. Behind the plate, we'll have Marty Springstead. And at first base, we'll have Frank Pulley. Second base, there you see Marty Springstead. Down at first base, they have a little bit of a meeting. There you see the lineup. Joe Brinkman is at second base. Ed Fargo, third base. Bill Heller in left field. That's Pulley on the left, Kibler on the right. He'll be down the right field line. John Kibler of the National League. We were waiting for Ed Figueroa. The team will take the field only when the pitcher's ready.
Defensively for the Yankees, Chris Chambliss. He's at first base. Second base today, Fred Stanley. They call him Chicken with those bird legs. Good defensive player. Shortstop, Bucky Dent, wearing the eye black in case the sun comes back out. There's the man, Greg Nettles, put on the big show last night in the ball game and also the second game in Los Angeles. Left field, Roy White once again. Center field, Paul Blair today. Left-hander Tommy John going, and of course Rivers still having the leg problem. In right field, Lou Piniella. Behind the plate again, even though that shoulder is so sore he can barely swing and throw, is Thurman Munson. And pitching, Ed Figueroa. And Tom Seaver, you talked about the controversy surrounding this man. There have been some quotes attributed to Billy Martin that Billy did not say. Kurt Gowdy might have an interesting story, an update on that Martin Figueroa thing later on in the ball game.
Figueroa having a birthday today, 30 years old. He was a starter. Tommy John, a starter in that first game in Los Angeles. Tommy John was the winner, 11-5. He pitched 7 2/3 innings. Figueroa was the loser. He pitched an inning and 2/3. 20-9 in 1978. He'll be facing Davy Lopes. Lopes is 4 for 14. You think he'll hit the first pitch again? If you were pitching, would you go out there with that in mind?
You definitely go with that in mind, Joe, no question. You know, he's a first ball fastball hitter. And he's going to be hacking at it. It's always something the pitcher is conscious about when he starts off a ball game. I believe it's going to be a breaking ball.
I was always torn. If you had a good fastball pitcher as they checked the ball, Paul Blair came in for some glasses. I was always torn between starting them off with a breaking ball. If you had a real good fastballer to say, here's my best fastball, you're a fastball hitter, I don't think you can hit it.
Well, many times a pitcher when starting the ball game will not have his fastball right from pitch one on. That may not come until the second, third, or fourth inning. Many times when I start a ball game, I'll throw the slider and just get it off the plate to get a feel, to get your feet on the ground and have that first pitch under your belt.
You would think that Figueroa was starting with a breaking ball. Let's see what he does. Why don't you guess along with us? It was a breaking ball for a strike. Outside, 1 ball, 1 strike. Figueroa's another one of those pitchers who looks at the ground before he delivers to the plate, which makes hitters nervous.
Took me a while to learn, Joe, about Davey Lopes. I pitched the game against last year against the Dodgers. Lopes hit the first pitch over the right center field wall. Came to Cincinnati, led off the game. The first pitch he hit off the right center field wall for a triple. 2 pitches, got a home run and a triple off him.
2 balls and 2 strikes. Tony Nettles is really playing cat and mouse with Lopes, not coming in, but he's in a hole and he takes 2 steps to his right or even more.
He's very mobile as the pitch is on the way. He gets the sign, as we said yesterday, appeal play. First base umpire says no, Frank Pulley. But he'll get the signs from Bucky Dent. He'll yell his name on the fastball. He'll move to his left. On the changeup or breaking ball, he'll move to his right. Ball they're more likely to hit down the line. And he's like a tennis player who anticipates.
That's out of play.
Thurman Munson said before the game of Nettles, he's the best all-round athlete I've ever played any sport with. And Munson has played a lot of sports. There's Thurman. Talking about base running, fielding, hitting under pressure.
Right field. Piniella has room. 1 out. One away, and brings up Bill Russell as shortstop. He is 6 for 13. He is leading the Dodgers with base hits. Baker has 5. In fact, he's leading both teams. Jackson has 5. So here is Kurt Gowdy's man, the man he picked. And he's leading in base hits. Tough play. Another base hit. He just couldn't pick it up. That was one of those in-betweeners.
I don't think it was because of the wet turf. Joe, they had the infield covered all night, and the infield really does look pretty good. It's just a bad thing of communication between Munson and Figueroa. They don't really seem to be working together right there, and it's I got it, you take it kind of play, and no chance at first base.
One of the things they'll teach both the catcher and any infielder and the pitcher, too, especially, is to grab the ball with 2 hands. The glove and the hand. He grabbed it just with the glove and never could get a good grip on it. But the infield's very bumpy, as is the outfield here in Yankee Stadium.
Once that ball took that second bounce, it looked like Munson was out of play, and the only man who could make it was Figueroa, and he couldn't get a grip on it. This is Reggie Smith. Smith, 3 for 13. He's driven in a run. 295 on the season. Got a big gap to shoot through between first and second. They've been testing Munson. Figueroa has a slow delivery, so they'll be able to get a pretty good jump off him.
Figueroa, pitcher, we mentioned it the first game he pitched, has been accused of having a balk move. That left knee or the left shoulder, it's something that the base stealers will watch very closely, and the umpire.
Outside, 1 ball, no strikes.
There's a good shot, Joe and Tom, of exactly what the base stealer is seeing. What he is looking for, the feet, the knee, the left shoulder, the turn of the head, anything that will tip something off that he can grab and maybe steal.
Outside, 2 balls, no strikes, 1 out.
Many people think that baseball is really kind of a catch-as-catch-can business. Scouts that go around watch other teams will time a pitcher's delivery, how long it takes for him to set up from that position right there and then deliver the ball. It'll take X amount of time, and they'll want to know that. So when they go back to their own teams, they say, we can run this man and this man against this certain pitcher.
2 balls and 1 strike. Gene Mock, who manages Minnesota, was the first I ever heard talking about that with the timing.
Did a whole study. The pitcher's first move to the catcher, and then how long it took the catcher to get the ball before it got to second base.
3 balls and 1 strike. Figueroa behind Reggie Smith, who takes a look at Preston Gomez. You know he's hitting. What he wants to know is Russell running? Some hitters don't like that. They just want to concentrate. You heard Reggie Jackson talk about how on that strikeout by Welch that he lost his concentration when Bucky Dent broke. Russell's going. Ball 4. Reggie Smith draws a base on balls, so it's base runners at first and second, 1 out. And here is Steve Garvey, who is 4 for 12.
Just saw something I've never seen a third baseman do. Greg Nettles, because Bucky Dent was covering second base, as soon as the ball was thrown to the hitter, Smith, Nettles almost ran to cover the shortstop hole. I'd never seen a third baseman do that before. It was just an amazing thing to see.
There he is. Garvey, who has yet to drive in a run. Outside, ball 1. Figueroa was pretty much his pattern in that first game. We look at Reggie Smith at first and Russell's at second. Right field, Piniella coming in. He's got it. They're going to have a double play. Second base, that's what they want to do, and now they finally go there. So the double play goes 9-3. Second, was it Stanley? Russell lost the ball.
Give the credit to Piniella. Piniella got a good job. Here comes Bill off second base. Now he picked up Piniella, and he says no way he's going to get that ball because it's sinking and slicing away. Preston Gomez cannot help him back. He's got to retouch while the ball goes to first base. He didn't even retouch. He's gone either way you look at it. Pretty good play by Piniella.
He'd have been out 2 or 3 different ways. It was Bucky Dent who was at second base.
Nettles might have been decoying him on that, too.
A bizarre double play, and there's the frustration of Phil Russell. So we go to the bottom half of the first inning. No score.
One shot, that's good for the whole day.
Oh, no.
Oh, hi, Guy. Just tried your new environmental right guard.
My right guard.
Oh, heard this fall.
Shambles, we were trying to help you out from up here, too, Chris. But they get the DP on Russell. Unusual, wasn't it?
Very unusual. Stanley, the second baseman, was right there trying to get Chambliss' attention. He finally got it. So, a weird double play, and let's see how the Dodgers line up, Tony, defensively.
All right. John, he pitched the first ball game in Los Angeles in this World Series. He's being caught by Steve Yeager once again. And Marty Springstead of the American League bearing down. Watching John, the way his ball moves, he's never umpired a game that John has pitched in, I don't think.
Tony, the point we made in the first game, Tommy John opening out at Dodger Stadium in game number 1, he had a National League umpire behind home plate. Today he's got an American League umpire, and John, obviously with his sinker, dead. Low ball pitcher. Got to get the low strike to be effective. This could, you know, that American League umpire could make a difference in this game to Tommy John.
As it's a strike, the first base umpire, he said, look at Blair, he said it all. Frank Pulley said, that's enough. Not talking no more. You saying he's not going to get the low strike today?
Did you see that pitch?
I differ with you. I want to talk more to you about this.
2 strikes.
Bobby Mercer, other guys who've gone from the American League to the National League, have said it's still about the same, about 50-50. You've still got some umpires who are basically low ball umpires or breaking ball umpires or high ball or inside or outside. I think it's the individual umpire more than the league.
Base hit. Nobody will get Blair on a ball like that. it, but he's still talking with Pulley for that strike.
Here's an example of a sinker. Paul Blair hits the ball right down into the ground with a very good speed. Hager has no chance on this play. Just pick it up, give it back to the pitcher, go to the second hitter, Roy White.
Joe, I thought Davey Lopes made an interesting observation when Tommy John pitched a great ball game against Philadelphia in the championship series. That was an artificial surface in Philadelphia. Lopes said, I would rather have, there's Davey, rather have Tommy John an artificial surface because you always get a true hop. Here you don't know what's going to happen.
There goes Blair. Lopes' only play is at first base. White is out, but he moves the runner along. So there's one away, and it brings up Thurman Munson. Munson is 2 for 12.
So Bob Lemon continues to start base runners. He's done it almost all series long when the score has been close or he's been ahead. With Randolph out with a bad leg, he's one of the base-stealing threats. Rivers out, he knows he's going to have to start runners because he doesn't have the steal threat anymore.
Outfield is not very deep for Munson. Out of play. They look very shallow to me as you look at them. Look how close North is in second base.
I've got to believe the scouting report has gotten around about Munson's shoulder. Even though he hit that real long drive in the championship series in this ballpark to left center against Kansas City.
Here's the throw. They're going to get him. They got him.
Oh, did he block it?
He blocked it beautifully. Once that ball took one hop, that was a room service throw by Reggie Smith. Catchers love that. He just put the block on him, and Blair was out. A beautiful throw, a great tag.
You made a good point, Joe, when you talked about the outfield playing a little more shallow. Blair does not cut the base well. He goes toward the dugout, and Yeager puts that left foot right there, gives him the shin guard, takes the plate away. I'll tell you what, he's taking more of the plate away than most catchers do. He got away from it, just jammed Paul Blair up. Great throw.
Most of the time, watch this throw, most of the time they'll give you half the plate, but that one hopper, his leg is taking all the plate away, and Blair cannot get in unless he bowled him over. And he chose not to, and it was a kind of a tag that catchers love to make. So there are 2 outs, and here is Reggie Jackson. That's a dangerous way to stand there when you got those big guys coming in. Somebody like that Dave Parker would hit you like the 5:15 leaving Grand Central. Inside to Reggie Jackson. 2 balls, no strikes. Munson's at first. 2 outs, no score. We've had 2 real good plays so far. There's the strike. 2 balls and 1 strike. For the 4th game, it'll be Jim Beattie against Burt. The 5th game, Beattie against Hooten. It's 4 o'clock Eastern time. We'll be right here.
Joe, in the first ball game, there was one series, or one time at bat, that Tommy John pitched Reggie high and tight, which is unusual for John. He usually stays down. I wonder if he'll do it in Yankee Stadium with that short fence in right field.
Watch for it. Side, 3-1. Boy, here's where this guy will crank up. Now you go to pitching, you can't go to throwing.
He had 2 shots at him, Joe. It was 2-0, and now it's 3-1. Anytime you give good hitters a chance to hit with those counts, you got to be in trouble.
Pulled it foul. Now it's a full count. 3 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Bottom of the 1st, no score.
Better remind Reggie, the runner's going to be going here now.
That's right. It broke his concentration last time. Garvey drops way back. There he goes. Bouncing ball to Garvey. Take it himself. That ends the inning. Boy, that'll be a big day on Sunday, NFL football. There's a great shot of the great Yankee Stadium. As much as we fly around, I know I always look forward to spotting it from the air. It's a beautiful sight. And you get kind of a preview as we zoom in with our creepy. Center field. Where is he? Boy, he's way up there. Corey's liable to go anywhere.
There he is.
There he is.
Over there. He's on top of that big building over there.
There's his shot.
My goodness.
Boy, that's the cheap seats up there, isn't it? Look how far away he is.
Take a cab to get back. Paul Blair, we're waiting for Paul Blair. There you see him running out once again. He's had some problems with glasses, and I think that last tag may have necessitated some repairs. He had to go to pits.
I'll bet the players, Blair and the left fielders today, are happy that there's a little cloud cover, because this is a rough park in left field with the sun at this time of the year, and then it creeps over to dead center field, right in his eyes.
Ron Cey leads it off. He's 3 for 10 with 1 home run. He has driven in 4 runs. Strike 1. He had a good cut at a fastball.
Figueroa is the kind of pitcher, Tom, once he established the breaking ball, he threw a few in that first inning, that when they start looking for it, he can bust you inside high and tight, cross the seam fastball, and sneak it by you at times. He's got to mix them up.
1 ball, 1 strike. Nobody out, nobody on. Top of the second, no score.
He can be a little sneaky, Tony. You know, he short arms the ball, and by that I mean he keeps his elbow in by his side as he delivers the ball more than another pitcher would. But in the first inning, he was high, was getting behind the hitters. He's 2-1 on Ron Cey now. And the guy that doesn't throw real hard, it's tough for him to pitch and be effective that way. Now he's 3-1. Just the point I made about Tommy John pitching to Reggie Jackson, 2-0 and 3-1. Anytime you run the count to 3-1 or 2-0, the hitter has the advantage. He can be so selective, and if he gets his pitch, he can crunch it.
He got it, and he crunched it. Base hit, center field. Ron Cey, a good pitcher, will stay ahead of the hitters, obviously, and a good pitcher can also throw something besides his fastball in the strike zone when he's behind those hitters. Because I don't care how fast you are, there are guys in this league, you couldn't shoot a ball by him. Here's Dusty Baker. Baker is 5 for 10. Nobody out. 1 man on. No score. There goes Cey. Foul out of play. Boy, that's kind of an odd couple to play hit and run with, isn't it?
They're going to test Thurman Munson's arm any way they can. And, of course, with Figueroa not overpowering, as Tom Seaver's indicated, they know they can get a piece of the ball. Did you see the lump on Thurman's right shoulder? He's got a lump that sticks out about 3 inches. I think it's a partial separation.
It's about a 2-inch hump he's got there. That's just a commercial. Not a good move. One strike. 1 ball, 1 strike. When you're playing under the handicap that Munson is and everybody's running, but the only thing you can do is pitch out and hope that you're right and put some doubt in their mind that you got their signs, and then maybe a little bit of confusion. They can switch them, and it hardly stops them.
Thurman's one catcher who doesn't like to pitch out a whole lot. He doesn't like, especially with that arm, he doesn't like his pitcher to get behind. He's just kind of come see, come say. Hey, if they steal, they steal. I might not be able to help it.
He's got to do something because he's almost like a starter at the track meet. He gets the ball and they run. It's popped up in the infield. Dan looked at Stanley. Now Bucky's going to take it. Good thing that thing was way up there. You see him smiling. Let's pause briefly for station identification. This is the NBC Television Network.
This is WNBC-TV, New York.
Joe Garagiola here along with Tony Kubek, Kurt Gowdy, Tom Seaver. Yankee Stadium, Game 4. Rick Mundy, the batter. There's 1 man out, 1 man on, no score. We're in the 2nd inning. Outside, ball one. Tony, why would there be confusion on such a routine Little League fly ball?
One of those right around second base, and each looked at the other, thought the other was going to get it, and then it drifted more toward Dent. You want to help each other out there. You want to go for everything you can get unless you're waved off.
Misses outside, 2 balls, no strikes. And here we go again, 2 balls, no strikes. It's almost a cliche now, but pitching behind like this is like checking your gas tank with a match. Outside, 3-0. Look at Monday, those hitters, they just drool. You can see it running down the sides. Look at those eyes, looking for that hit sign.
The hitter winds up, the pitcher winds up to throw the ball in there. When they're way ahead, the hitter winds up. And it's like they're just getting ready to drive the ball.
Ball 4, second base on balls, given up by Figueroa. It moves Say down to second. Monday's at first, and Billy North is the batter.
And out pops Bob Lemon. He's going to have a chat right now with the starting pitcher, Ed Figueroa.
I know a couple things Tony is going to talk to him about.
What?
You go down the list. He's 3-2 on Lopes. Russell at the first pitch. He's 3-1 on Smith. 1-0 on Garvey. 3-1 on Say.
Dick Tidrow starts warming up now for the Yankees.
2-0 on Monday. Exactly what we've been saying. I mean, I've had it said to me 100 times.
What do you say,
can't
though?
pitch that way. You've got to get ahead of the hitters.
But you say
throw strikes.
I say I'm trying.
Try harder. I've heard pitchers say you get chewed on a little bit once in a while, Joe. That'll happen out there, too.
That's what I wanted to bring out, that managers don't just go out there and pat you because you say, I try harder. Don't give me that try harder. Get some strikes or you're going to get some cold water.
Exactly right.
Here is Billy North. It's a strike.
It worked, huh?
It did on that pitch. There's really no great strategy that goes on. I mean, when Lemon went out there, the message was just a simple get the ball over or you're going to get taken out of here. 1 ball, 1 strike. Ron Say is at second base. Rick Monday's at first. The frustration comes in when the pitcher's trying as best he can and can't get it over. Center field, Paul Blair going back. Say is tagging up. Let's see what happens. The tag, the throw, and Say heads for third. He'll make it easily.
Those of you who have not seen much of Paul Blair, he goes back on the ball as well as anybody in baseball today in a number of years. Yankee Stadium, this center field is made for him. He can play shallow. He does not fear having the ball hit over his head. He gets the line, drives the little loopers, and he gives some base runners trouble because he charges balls so well and plays so shallow.
Tony, not as a put down. He's got 2 fellas alongside of him that he's never going to collide with either. Piniella and White, I mean, unless it's a rare occasion, he's going to have all kinds of room. That ball goes up, he's going to hear him hollering a lot of room. Here's Yeager. Outside. Munson ready. He's ready for anything.
Notice another thing, too, Tony. White really plays deep, doesn't he? He is way back there.
Yeah. That's been a
A
theory
very deep left
field.
field.
A theory in Yankee Stadium for a long time to cut down that alley in left center field and prevent the triples.
There's the strike. 1 ball, 1 strike, 2 outs, second inning, no score. Say's at third. Monday is at first. Fouled out of play. What do you think, guys? You might try a double steal?
No, I don't think so. If it gets fouled up, take the bat out of Yeager's hand. But let's see. You've got a pipeline to Tommy Lasorda. He's one of your best pals.
I'd be looking for it. Figueroa thought he had it, but it was outside. 2 balls and 2 strikes. There's Lasorda. Lovely wife, Joe Lasorda. A bad throw watching the game from the hotel. Rooting for her man. Get better, Joe. Bob Lemon. Every time you talk to him, he wants to say hello to Mom. 2 classy guys. Popped up. Bucky Dent. in the bottom half of the second inning. There is no score, and for the Yankees, it'll be Lou Piniella. Greg Nettles. The leaves are starting to turn here in the east. What a beautiful shot of New York, Manhattan. October 15th. Fifth game, that's tomorrow, Sunday. It'll be Beatty against Bert Hooton. And then the Bob Hope All-Star Comedy Salute to the 75th anniversary of the World Series. Danny Kaye will be the special guest. Glenn Campbell, Charo, Steve Martin, Jim Henson and the Muppets. Steve Martin will be playing a vendor. Cheryl Teagues, Billy Martin, Howard Cosell. Genesis of Baseball from Revelations of the Dead Sea Scrolls by the voice that tells it like it is, Howard Cosell. Old Howard will be there. Special appearances by Johnny Bench, Vida Blue, Don Drysdale, Sandy Koufax, and Tommy Davis. They'll do a dance, those last three. Mickey Mantle. That's the Bob Hope All-Star Comedy Salute. Sunday night, tomorrow night. Ball one.
Did you see Lou? What was he doing? That little dance at home plate? He's going to go out there and get a good look at Tommy John's sinker. That was something. Look at this.
What?
Just taking the ball. He's taking his hand off the bat.
Take it all right. It looks like he's trying to fake him out like a basketball player. Like, I'm going out and get your sinker. Throw me a pitch inside. Look at this.
What would you do, Tom? Would that upset you?
No, he's making him throw strikes. What he's saying is you're gonna have to throw the ball in the strike zone before I'm gonna swing the bat. First two pitches, balls. And a ground ball.
Still got the ground ball. Say to Garvey, gets Piniella. Do what you want, and Tommy John just continues to throw those grub worms. Here comes the man of the hour, Greg Nettles. One man out, nobody on, no score. We're in the bottom of the second inning. Ball one, the curveball missed. Nettles is 2 for 12. He had 27 home runs during the regular season. Foul tip. Just did get the bat, indicated by the umpire, Marty Springsteen. 1 ball, 1 strike, 1 out. Missed the outside corner. 2 balls in the strike. Outside, 3 balls and 1 strike.
Joe, you made a point earlier about Ed Figueroa looking down at the ground before he delivers, and different style. Tommy John never takes his eye off the target. Watch him, watch his head. He's always right there in the strike zone.
3 balls, 2 strikes. Hitters like that because they feel like the pitcher knows where they're standing. But I'm sure for concentration, that's the best way. I never could understand why pitchers look to the ground or look around. Bouncing ball, Lopes, easy out.
Pitcher look at the ground for balance. Maybe the pitchers in the windup, if they keep their head up, seems, at least I know I do, because I look at the ground. If I keep my head up, I feel like my balance goes too far to my back leg. If I keep my head down, curled, I feel my shoulders stay curled.
Do you look at a particular spot?
No, I don't look at anything. Just keep my head down and look down at the ground somewhere.
Here's Chambliss. Strike on the outside corner.
I've tried keeping my head up, watching the target all the time, but I find that I start leaning backward, and that's not very good for my style.
Just missed, 1-1.
The guys who look down never bothered me. It's the guys like Louis Tiant or the young kid from Toronto, Victor Cruz, who look at the clock in center field. That's what upset me.
1-1 pitch. Outside, 2 balls and 1 strike.
Gene Garver down in Atlanta did the same thing. It drive you crazy, wouldn't it?
2-1 pitch. Ground ball, Bill Russell. In time. 3 ground balls, 3.
That's Tommy John walking off, and watch this sign language now. After the bottom of the second inning. What is that? That might be. Now, that, ball players are funny. Gil Hodges used to throw kisses to his wife after he hit a home run as he crossed home plate. That might be a message I don't think that will be, Tony. It might be a message to his wife.
I personally
I
think,
don't know.
you know, you get enough pine tar on your fingers or grease, and you get a buildup. Sooner or later, you got to get it off there, pal.
You can go do it in the dugout. Sign language to somebody. Maybe he was looking at our third base camera saying hello to all the relatives back in India.
Here is Davy Lopes. Takes the pitch outside, ball one. High, ball two. Lopes flied to right his first time up. 2 balls, no strikes. Lopes 4 for 14 with 2 home runs. At 17 during the regular season. Big year for Davy, his best as far as home runs. Look at that! Oh! Look at Davy Lopes. He's talking to himself.
Nettles is playing Lopes up even with a bag, looking for a possible bunt. You want to see some reflexes. This is an absolute bullet. I can see a guy catching a ball like that right at him. They are just showing that play on the replay board up here in Yankee Stadium. The same thing we're showing you right now. That is an amazing glove. Eddie Vargo is even at the chair.
Outside, ball one. Davy Lopes hit that ball, looked, couldn't believe it. They just well try somebody else. Boy, I tell you, with greatness, sure he loves it because he knows he can do the job, but I tell you, there's a certain degree of humility with greatness. Fly ball. Stanley makes the play. Penelo's coming in.
Nettles has led this ball club in home runs. He's driven a lot of runs for this club, but he appreciates this, that you're going to see again, more than a home run or an RBI.
Boy, he would have made some boxer with that quick left hand.
You're talking double again right there. Double,
Yes,
maybe
sir.
triple if it rattles around that corner where White's playing.
Here's Reggie Smith. Foul straight back. Reggie walked his first time up. Tell you, the Dodgers, I bet they're back on the bench and say, let's try somebody else. I think that fella can field. 2 strikes. That was the best pitch he made right there.
Pretty hard fastball, Tom.
Pretty good fastball to a pretty good fastball hitter. That surprised me. He got that ball up, got the ball by him, too.
High and tight. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Reggie Smith, nobody on, 2 outs. We're in the top of the third. Game number 4. No score.
He's throwing hard.
He is throwing hard.
For some people that question Bob Lemon's choice of starting Figueroa, Kurt Gowdy talked to Lem earlier, as you saw in our pregame show, but he has to be able to pitch with some kind of pressure because he finished the regular season with an 8-game winning streak when the Yankees really had to come from behind, 14 games behind the Red Sox.
Foul back. Lemon puts everything in such simple terms. He said, hey, when a guy wins 20 games, you just don't dump him like that.
He won his 20th game on the second last day of the season, Joe. And if he had lost that, there never would have been a game in Boston.
That's right.
That was a pressure game for the Yankees, and he pitched it. Complete game.
Ah, 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Reggie Smith. Concentration. Called out on strikes. Figueroa has a 1-2-3 inning. So we go to the bottom half of the 3rd inning. And there is no score. Dodgers nothing and the Yankees nothing.
Laurie and Fairmont. I like them both.
Thousands of people compare Plymouth Valari and Ford Fairmont, and they're comparable. The same EPA size class, about the same mileage with comparable equipment. But they're different, too. From seating for 6 to wheelbase and track, we think Valari 4-door's more car. Equipped with 6-cylinder engine and automatic transmission, sticker price is about the same. A solid, substantial car. That's Valari.
Imagination, that's clever.
Only one smoke and fire detector. Adjust to minimize nuisance alarms from cooking or fireplace smoke. It also sounds this warning. For 30 days when the battery's low, and assures you that all systems are working. Only one smoke and fire detector combines all this. Trust Honeywell to protect your family.
Dad, when are we gonna get to Grandma's?
Dad, are we gonna get to Grandma's?
Darn, I forgot to put in Prestone. Take out the old, put in the 2, put in the Prestone 2.
Protect against freeze-ups and corrosion. Take out old, weak antifreeze and put in America's most trusted antifreeze, Prestone 2.
Take out the old, put in the 2, put in the Prestone 2.
And when you flush your cooling system, use Prestone Super Flush.
Tomorrow, big day on NBC Sports, starting at 12:30 Eastern Time with NFL 78, followed by regional NFL action. Most of you will be seeing that Pittsburgh-Cleveland game. Boy, that's going to be something. The game is sold out. That stadium will be jam-packed. And the Browns, they've had 2 overtime games already. That'll really be something. Now, other games, we have Seattle-Green Bay, Cincinnati-New England. It'll be followed by Game 5. It'll be Jim Beattie against Bert Hooton. Game 5 of the 1978 World Series right here, Yankee Stadium. So a big day on NBC Sports starting 12:30 Eastern Time with NFL 78. Fella in the middle, Ron Guidry's brother. Not that kid, that gentleman right there. Everybody wants to get in the showbiz. Here is Fred Stanley. It's a strike. Two strikes, no balls on Stanley. Tell you, these Yankees almost identical against righties and lefties. Break it down, it's incredible. High. Against right-handers, he won 49, lost 31. That's a 613 percentage. Against left-handers, he won 51 and 32, a 614 percentage. It's pretty consistent. 2 balls and 2 strikes on Fred Stanley.
See a lot of left-handed pitching in this ballpark, especially when they have their 4 left-handed hitters in the lineup.
Dick Hauser at third base, lets it roll by. There he is. He'll be coaching at Florida State.
Pretty good infielder, too. Kansas City for a while, made some all-star teams.
Thought they had him, but it was too low, says Marty Springstead. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Tommy John. Popped up. North in center field, taking charge.
They're making Tommy John work a little bit more than they did the first game, making him throw some strikes. You can see Piniella set the tone of that earlier in the ball game. I think all of the Yankees got together. There's Marty Springstead. The whole plate umpire got together and said, let's stay off the bad pitches if we can. The more you keep going out to reach out and hit the ball the opposite way, right-handed hitters, the farther Tommy John goes outside.
He's got good control. He has averaged 2.2 walks per 9 innings this season. So he throws strikes, and there's another one. 1 man out, nobody on. Bottom of the 3rd, no score, game 4. Dodgers leading the series 2-1. Yankees won the ball game last night. Strike 2. Yeager really gives a low target. Get a good idea how John works now that he's way ahead with the count of 2 strikes. Low, 1 ball, 2 strikes. That glove that Yeager's wearing is supposed to be able to help the pitchers as far as control, being able to spot it a little better. It's that same material you see on the highway workers.
That's how the idea came, didn't it? From Alcion Panis?
Right. There's a base hit. Bucky Dent rounds first, but he'll hold on with a single. And the umbrellas start to pop out. They expect occasional showers, is what the weatherman said. It has gotten dark, the lights are on, sprinkles, but the fans came prepared. One man out, 1 man on. Hey, they thought something was on there. Ball 1, Paul Blair, the batter. He had an infield hit his first time up. Yankees have 3 hits, and Dodgers have 2. We have no score. Low, 2 balls and no strikes.
You would think that Lemon would try and do something here. They've got to get a run. You see the rain coming down. Managers in games where it's raining like this will try and get 1 run at least, because if the game gets into the 5th inning, one team's ahead. That ball's back out of play. One team's ahead. They call the game. You got to try and get a run first. Get 1 run on that board, because play 5 innings and then it rains all day, you're going to win a ball game.
2 balls, 1 strike. Foul balls will really be a problem. There you see the commissioner on the telephone, probably talking to the weatherman. And that is Bob Mulholland, NBC president in the dark suit, and that's Bill Simon, former Secretary of the Treasury. They're going to call time. They're going to cover it. Marty Springstead with a count of 2 balls and 1 strike on Blair with 1 out, no score in the bottom of the 3rd. And you might just mark the time, 4:25. You see how long the delay is. There you see Marty.
So somebody fictionalized the story, at least to this point. The commissioner starting to take the brunt of some of that. But there have been a lot of rumors circulating so far this World Series, haven't there?
Oh, there you see the commissioner. That rain is no rumor. It is coming down. Behind him is Mrs. Kuhn.
It's not raining very hard. It was raining a little harder, and now it's let up.
You see, Tony, out beyond the outfield fence, out beyond center field, you can see we have some spots of blue, and the clouds are very low. They're not big, dark thunder clouds by any means, and we've got some blue spots out there. The fans were a little upset that they did cover it, but the umpires obviously must have been under some instruction to get this thing covered up if it does start to rain.
And while we got a chance, certainly a tribute to all the ground crews in all of baseball, in fact, in all the sports. These are the guys that have to work on the field early. They stay late. Only on days like this are they even noticed. Here they are covering the field, and the groundhogs do a good job.
Might recall an interview that Kurt Gowdy did with the commissioner earlier in the series when Kurt asked him what's the biggest problem in the World Series. He said, we just hope we don't get a whole lot of rain. It messes up a lot of scheduling. And it's a decision, in this case, left exclusively to the commissioner. A lot of pressure is put on him. There's Steve Garvey and young Bob Welch. After the ball, what job you did on Reggie Jackson, you can afford a new sweatshirt. He's got a hole in that elbow. There's your pal, Jerry Grody. There's your score. There is none. Yankees with 3 hits. The Dodgers with just 2. The scheduled pitchers for game number 4 are Jim Beattie and Bert Hooton. Series stands now. It's the Dodgers 2 games. The Yankees 1. Reggie Jackson, who was mired in some controversy earlier in the series also. We're on a 3-2 count, 2 outs, facing Bob Welch. The dramatic confrontation that you call so well, Joe. Greg Nettles, the man with 1,000 gloves or something. He's got one on 89 arms. He's like an octopus. Nickname him Hoover, a vacuum cleaner.
Bonella really holding court there with Reggie Jackson.
Here's one thing about the Yankees. Any of you people lip readers out there, I hope not. There's the starting pitcher, Beattie, right there.
There's Bill Allen right there. That's Bill Allen.
There's
Sure
Bill Allen on the left, sure. He was Mr. World Series. Tell you, boy, when growing up as a kid, that voice would boom out. Yeah. He's upstairs.
That's with Henry Kissinger, too. He's right down here. George, right to our left. They're right here in the same level we are in the press box. In the last booth, I think that's Mr. Steinbrenner's box down there.
He's a soccer commissioner now.
Matt Allen this year, and of course Red Barber, we're putting a special section of baseball's Hall of Fame. There's the press level. That's where we are, out of the rain. Alan Roth, the man way to the right of your screen, he's the one that gives us all those priceless gems. Oh, I'm sorry, Tom. Oh, excuse me.
You wouldn't even let my mom see me on TV, Tony.
Oh, my goodness.
Well, we've got a rain delay here, pretty obvious. Don't know how long it'll be. The ground crew putting a hose on the tarp so it doesn't blow off. So it looks like the weather report says it may get a bit heavy, and we'll just have to wait. There's not much you can do.
Some people wonder what players do when it rains. Some stay on the bench and chew the fat, spit tobacco on the dugout steps, hold court, etc. Some go in the clubhouse and play bridge. Some play mahjong. Play other card games.
What will you think Figueroa and John will do?
You know, a surprise. Now, we had a shot earlier of the Yankee dugout. Ed Figueroa was still sitting there. Now, I can't find Tommy John on the Dodger bench here. I don't know whether he's gone in to change his sweatshirt. There you see Ed Figueroa right there, towel around his neck, got his coat on. Surprised he has not gone in and changed, unless he's already done this previously, gone in and changed his sweatshirt.
Okay, Reggie Jackson talking to Catfish Hunter. Right now, let's go to Sports World and Charlie Jones.
All right, thank you, Joe. As you know, we're in a rain delay situation at Yankee Stadium. Now, let's go back to Game 1 of the World Series this year. It all started last Tuesday night in Dodger Stadium. Ed Figueroa, as this afternoon, was going for the New York Yankees. We're in the bottom of the second inning. It is a 1-2 pitch to Dusty Baker, and Dusty hits a solo home run. So the Dodgers in Game 1 off to the early lead. Out in front 1-0. Dusty Baker circles the bases, and the Dodger fans love every moment of it. Great sellout crowds in Dodger Stadium, as we have also in Yankee Stadium here in New York. Then it was Rick Mundy. He follows with a double to center field. Mickey Rivers almost comes up with it, can't make the play to throw to second, and Mundy goes sliding in with a double. Then with 2 outs, Davey Lopes, a 2-run home run, and the Dodgers now lead in Game 1 by a score of 3-0. Davey Lopes, the Dodger captain. Bottom of the 4th. And that man again, Davey Lopes, this time a 3-run home run with Rick Mundy and Steve Yeager aboard. That is a total of 5 RBIs for Lopes. And the Dodgers almost blow it open. They lead at this point by a score of 6-0. 2 home runs by Davey Lopes. Bottom of the 5th. Say is on third, Baker on first, Rick Mundy is the batter, Figueroa a wild pitch, and Ron Say scores, and the Dodgers continue to lead now 7-0. Top of the 7th. Reggie Jackson, a leadoff home run. And just like the artist that he is with a bat, he stands for a moment to admire his own canvas. That makes it Los Angeles 7 and the Yankees 1. Then with Piniella and Chambliss on base, Bucky Dent singles, scoring 2 more Yankee runs, and the Dodger lead has now been cut to 7-3. Bottom of the 7th, Bill North, a pitch hit double, scoring Garvey and Baker. That makes it 9-3. Lee Lacy singles home North, and the Dodgers blow it open now by a score of 10-3. In the top of the 8th, 1 out, 2 on, Lou Piniella. Looks like a double play. Russell throws the ball away. Munson scores. Piniella goes to second. And then Piniella scores as Nettles singles to right field, and that makes it 10-5. This is Game 1, Dodger Stadium, last Tuesday night. Bottom of the 8th. Bill Russell leads off a ground rule double. This is called for fan interference. Russell could possibly have had a triple. Dick Tidrow, 4th pitcher of the ball game. Reggie Smith. He singles to right. Russell scores. The Dodgers now have a lead of 11-5. Then we go to the top of the 9th. Jerry Forster. He has replaced Tommy John. The batter is Roy White. And he strikes him out. And that takes care of Game 1 of the World Series of this year. The final score, the Dodgers defeating the Yankees 11-5. 5. We're still in a rain delay situation at Yankee Stadium. Before we go out there, we'll update the situation. If somebody will hand me the scorecard that I have. So far, we have had no runs scored. In case you joined us late, we've been scoring the game here. And once again, we've seen Greg Nettles at work. Last night, particularly in the ballgame, was a Greg Nettles outing. And in the pregame show today, early in the ballgame, they were talking about the situation with Greg Nettles. He's been tremendous in the World Series so far. And as you can see behind us, it is really pouring in Yankee Stadium. Now, if this game is rained out, then we would move the game to tomorrow. The next game, the next game would be on Monday, and if necessary, then we just move the rain delay to the travel date to Tuesday, and then move the World Series on down into the week. Now, at Yankee Stadium, Tony Kubek, Joe Garagiola, Tom Seaver, and Kurt Gowdy, and they will be updating all of those possibilities as we will follow the rain delay situation. Now, we are going now to Game 2 highlights. This was a game in Dodger Stadium, and this was the game on Wednesday night. Now, this was a game that the New York Yankees felt that they had to have, but it was not to be so. For the Dodgers completely dominated the World Series play while it was on the West Coast. That situation, of course, has turned around once that they moved to the East Coast. Bert Hooton is on the mound in Game 2. We're in the top of the third inning. Roy White singles to right field. Could be 2. Circles, takes a look at the arm of Reggie Smith, and decides, no way. And from the smile on Roy White's face, you can see that he said, no, I'm glad I didn't make that move. White then steals second. Munson walks. Reggie Jackson is up, and he promptly doubles in the first 2 runs of the game, and the Yankees are out in front by a score of 2-0. This is Game 2 in Dodger Stadium. Bottom of the 4th. Reggie Smith is on. Steve Garvey. Garvey singles, but Greg Nettles starts it all off here as he saves the run with a great defensive play. Garvey was safe at first. Ron Say, he then singles in Reggie Smith for the Dodgers' first run of the ball game. And you remember the name Ron Say in Game 2. Dusty Baker. What does he do? Well, there's that man, Greg Nettles, a double play. And the Yankees hold on to a 2-1 lead. Moving to the bottom of the 6th, Davey Lopes singles past Greg Nettles. That may be the only ball in the series that has gone past Greg Nettles. Reggie Smith, he singles to right. And the Dodgers now have runners on the corner. The name to remember, Ron Say, the Penguin, the third baseman. He promptly unloads a 3-run home run off of Catfish Hunter. The Dodgers have a 4-2 lead, and Ron Say has all 4 of the Dodger RBIs in the ballgame. The top of the 7th. After a Roy White single, Paul Blair, a pinch hitter. It's a ground rule double that bounces over the fence. So the Yankees, with no one out, now have runners at second and third as you watch the ground rule double, and they trail in the ball game 4-2 off of the warning track and over the wall for 2 bases. Tom Lasorda, a little worried at this point. After a Munson strikeout, Reggie Jackson. And the king of October gets his 3rd RBI of the ball game, scoring White from third as the Yankees now trail 4-3. But it was to come down to the top of the 9th inning. With 2 men on, Bucky Dent is on second, and Paul Blair is on first. The 3rd Dodger pitcher is on the mound, Bob Welch, and in everybody's mind is last year's World Series and the home run of Reggie Jackson. The 4-3 ball game. Here's the pitch, and he strikes him out, and the Dodgers win the first 2 ball games of this year's World Series. The score of the 2nd ball game, Dodgers 4 and Yankees 3. And we're still in the rain delay situation. And for an update, let's go to Joe Garagiola. Joe?
Thank you, Charlie Jones. Well, we just saw the highlights of the first two games, and I know you have your impressions. I think the thing that surprised me more than anything was the Dodger power, the way they went out and did it. It was home runs. Davey Lopes, who had a big year with home runs, he just started right from the very beginning, and then that big blast by Ron Cey. The first two games, they won it, then the Yankees, as you well know, came back. We've got a delay here, pretty obvious, and as always in the World Series, everything is specific. Now, in the first game, Tom Seaver was telling us about the clay being 96%. Well, as far as the rain is concerned today, we have just been told that the shower is going to last 20 minutes. Not 21, not 19, 20 minutes. And then we'll have baseball here. We get specific during the World Series. A reminder now about tomorrow. It's going to be a big day for sports on NBC. It begins at 12:30. with NFL Today, and there you see the football. The big one, of course, is the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Cleveland Browns in Cleveland. That stadium is sold out. It'll be jam-packed. Some 80,000 people will be there, and the way those Browns have been playing, that'll be a dandy. Now, most of you will see that game, but check your local listings. The other games, Seattle, Green Bay, New England, Cincinnati, and then World Series game number 5. Right here at Yankee Stadium, 4 o'clock Eastern Time. It'll be Bert Hooton for the Dodgers and Jim Beattie for the New York Yankees. A big day on NBC Sports. Kurt Gowdy is down in our NBC studio, and for a reaction to those first two games, and I got to believe he's going to have some visitors. Let's go to our host, Kurt Gowdy.
Well, I've got the visitor, Joe, the manager of the Dodgers, Tom Lasorda. We were just talking about the first two games. We had a rerun of them and the highlights. Regular season, you go in and play a 3-game series, you always want to win that first one. I know the Yankees wanted that first one. They probably would have been satisfied with a split coming out of there, and that was a big one for you, that first one, wasn't it?
Oh, yes, it is, Kurt. When you win that first game of the series, it always helps, and naturally, when you start trying to plan, the visiting team always says, you know, if we can get out of there with a split of 2 games and then go into our home where we have to play 3. But our players come out very aggressively, and we swung the bat very well, and I was real proud of the way they went after those first 2 ball games.
Mr. Nettles is starting again.
Well, he's unbelievable. I was just telling Davey Lopes, he's hit 5 balls right on the nose, and he's gotten 1 hit out of it, and because of Mr. Nettles. And the guy has played superbly, and I don't know, we're just going to have to drive our attack to somebody else.
What happened on the fly ball to right? Russell took off, couldn't get back, they doubled him up.
That's right. Evidently, Billy thought that the ball was going to sink or something, and he took off trying to score, and, of course, the ball took off on him, so it made the difference.
What's the manager say in the dugout about that?
Well, you hate to see something like that happen, but you know one thing, that ball players are human, and they're going to make mistakes, and the big thing is you have to minimize them, but Billy Russell didn't try to do it. He was trying to do something that he thought was right, so you can't find fault with them because they're the guys that got us here, and they're the guys that are going to win it for us.
Joe, 20 minutes, Garagiola just told us it's going to rain for exactly 20 minutes. I talked to the Yankee groundskeeper, Jimmy Esposito. He said the grounds could take quite a bit of rain. It's a good drainage system. A soft turf, a slow infield. Does that help Tommy John?
Well, if he hits the ball, if he makes them hit the ball on the ground, it's certainly advantageous to Tommy, which this is his bread and butter, getting them to hit the ball on the ground, and it won't have as much skip on it going through the infield because of the infield being a little soggy.
I don't want you to get nervous now because we can't start without you out there, so everything's all right. How's John pitched for you so far in your estimation?
Well, John has pitched very well. Reggie came up with a real fine throw that prevented them from scoring 1 run, and it was a great throw, and Steve Yeager made a nice tag, but we've had men on base, and we just haven't been able to produce, but we're going to keep going after them, Kurt. We've got an aggressive bunch of players, and they love to win, and they're a great ball club. I'm really proud of them.
How about Figueroa?
Well, he's gotten us out so far. He's put some zeros up on the board, but he could be the great Walinda. He's been walking on a tightrope right now, and we're hoping that we can cash in on him.
I've got to tell you fans a great story. I walked into the Dodger clubhouse today. Lasorda sitting in his chair, leaning back, and he said, Kurt, You used to know me when I was a coach. He said, I never dreamed I'd be managing a club in the World Series in Yankee Stadium.
Well, I'll tell you, it's been so fortunate for me that sometimes I think, I really believe that I'm going to hear my mother say, Tom, wake up. It's time for you to go to school. This is all a dream for me.
Yeah, but, you know, you got years to go yet.
Well, I'm hoping that I do, and I'll tell you right now, I'm very, very fortunate that the people had enough confidence in me to make me the manager of this ball club, and in the last 2 years, we've shown that we do have an outstanding ball club because we've made the Fall Classic 2 years in a row, and that's quite an accomplishment.
Thanks for coming in, Tommy. Back to the dugout, watch the rain, and we'll get some action going. Tom Lasorda, the manager of the Dodgers. Now let's go back to Joe.
Oh. Okay, Kurt. I tell you, I enjoyed that because Tommy Lasorda, one of those guys who really paid his dues. Here he is in the World Series. Charlie Jones is back in New York. He's got Game 3 ready for us. Charlie, we'll watch it along with many, many other people. Charlie?
All right, Joe, Game 3 last night, Yankee Stadium in New York. All they could talk about was Guidry. Could Guidry do it? Could he do it one more time? Well, he could, but he needed a lot of help from a man by the name of Greg Nettles, who plays an outstanding third base. We're in the bottom of the first inning with one out as Roy White greets a Don Sutton pitch, a solo home run, and the Yankees have the lead by a score of 1-0. This is game number 3, Yankee Stadium. Roy White, one of the nicest men in all of professional sports. Top of the second with Baker at first, one out, and Lee Lacy hits it to a Greg Nettles double play. As Nettles, that's just the start of his evening. Bottom of the second, Nettles leads off with a single. After a walk and a force out, the Yankees have runners at the corner. Bucky Dent hits into a fourth, but Nettles scores. New York leads 2-0. Top of the third. Bill North is at third. Davey Lopes, a line shot to Nettles, and the runner has to hold at third. Bill Russell then singles, scoring the Dodgers' first run of the game. Close play at first. New York leads 2-1. Reggie Smith. Greg Nettles, another great play, saves a run as he throws him out. Top of the fifth. Again, Reggie Smith for the Dodgers. And again, Greg Nettles, this time, he saves 2 runs. But the bases are loaded, and the batter is Steve Garvey. Nettles, well, he does it one more time. And New York still leads 2-1. Top of the sixth. Los Angeles again with the bases loaded. 2 out. Lopes, the batter. Greg Nettles saves the game for the Yankees. Bottom of the seventh, 1 away. Runners on the corners, Thurman Munson, Singleton, Bucky Dent. The Yankees now lead 3-1. Reggie Jackson then singles, scoring Roy White. New York stretches their lead to 4-1. Lou Piniella then brings in Thurman Munson as he grounds out. The Yankees now lead 5-1. Top of the ninth inning with 2 outs. Bill Russell is walked. Reggie Smith is the batter. Ron Guidry strikes him out, and the Yankees win it 5-1. They now trail in the World Series to the Los Angeles Dodgers 2-1. Once again, Joe Garagiola at Yankee Stadium. Joe?
Well, the ground crew here, as you can see, starting to take the tarp off. 20 minutes is what they've told me. I really wasn't keeping track of the time, but the crowd loves that. And it's starting to get a little bit cool here. You can feel the breeze, and you just wonder what effect that will have on the pitchers. Tom Seaver was talking about the jacket that you should be going in the clubhouse. We saw Ed Figueroa before, just seated on the bench. Tommy John in the clubhouse, but we'll wait and see. We have no score in this game. We were in the bottom of the third when the rains came. Marty Springstead didn't wait too long. He just called the ground crew out there, and they put that tarp on right now, and they're taking it off, so we will have baseball. There's never been since the World Series has started, a game that has been started, it's been called off, and a team won, and the other team obviously lost. 441 of them have been played, and so we're going to get this one in. They're going to do everything they can. Now, Tony Kubek is in the dugout. He's got some visitors. Let's go see what Tony's got to say.
All right, I'm with the Commissioner of Baseball, Bowie Kuhn, and he might be the weatherman we're looking for. Commissioner, what is the latest weather report that you have?
Well, this little shower we had here was anticipated by the weatherman. Gave us about 10 minutes warnings. We alerted the umpires it was coming, and sure enough, it came right on schedule. They're saying it's probably going to be all right now for at least an hour, maybe get another little shower in here somewhere, but they don't anticipate anything too serious.
Well, I heard you in your interview earlier in the World Series about Kurt Gowdy saying one of the big problems or biggest for you, or an American or National League president, of course, during the regular season championship series, is weather, and we've got it.
I remember saying that, and I did not plan on it coming true in this series, but here it is. Or I don't think it's going to be serious. Now I'm making myself a weatherman, and that's dangerous, but I'm trying.
Your observations thus far of the World Series. For a while, it looked like the Yankees were a little down, but with Guidry and Greg Nettles coming back yesterday, it was quite an amazing performance.
Well, Guidry was the stopper, and Nettles making us all think back, at least certainly making me and a lot of other people think back to Brooks Robinson in 1970. Really turned it around yesterday, so I think we got a heck of a series, and I'm happy.
Commissioner, you are always on the spot in your job, whether it's in the courts with legal problems or whatever else, decisions like this, but I'm going to put you on the spot again, and I know you'll handle it very well. Talking to Thurman Munson today before the ball game, and he was saying something that John Kibler went over during the ball game last night and relayed a message from you, apparently, that the catchers should not talk to the batters. What would Yogi Berra have done if you'd given that order, if it was, in fact, an order?
I think if Yogi had gotten that order, he'd have paid attention just like everybody else should.
Is that what you told him, though?
Well, normally we have, not normally, we have a rule against fraternizing out there. We don't think it makes a good appearance to the game. And when we see that being cracked a little bit, I'm apt to say, why don't you mention it to the fellows, and let's stop that.
All right, Baseball Commissioner Bowie Kuhn, we thank you, and looks like it is going to let up as they take the tarp off. Thank you very much, sir.
Okay, Tony.
All right, let's go right now over to the other side of the Dodger dugout and Tom Seaver. Thank you.
In the Dodger dugout, I got Ronnie Say, the Los Angeles Dodger third baseman. The obvious question that I've got to ask him about last night, your impression of Greg Nettles' play at third.
Just unbelievable. I don't think I've ever seen as many plays made by one person, whether it was a third baseman or not, in one game that was more or less pivotal to each inning that we had runners on base. And I think the main thing is that he was able to make a big play early in the game, and without people on base, gave him confidence, and then it was easier for him. If there hadn't been a ball that was hit down there with the velocity that was with people on base prior to that, it may have been a little bit different kind of a play, but he made every play, he got him out of every inning, and took us right out of the ballgame.
Well, Tony was keeping track upstairs, and we figured that Greg's play last night saved probably 5, 6, or 7 runs, depending on what would happen with a base runner.
Right, we feel that we would have scored at least 5 runs. We had the bases loaded twice. And then I think we had runners at first and second another time. So he saved them at least 4 runs, possibly 5.
Obviously, a psychological effect on the bench. You know you got a great game played against you by a defensive player, yet you know going into your clubhouse you feel you had an excellent chance of winning that ball game, didn't you? We
really felt that even with Nettles' play that we were going to get him. We had him on the ropes, and we felt that if we just kept going up there and swinging the bat and hitting the ball hard, that sooner or later we're going to score some runs. But as it turned out, it seemed like everything that we hit hard was right at Greg, and he just turned him over.
Did you ever, guys on the bench, ever figure that you might try somebody else in the infield to keep it away from Greg?
You know, there's not much else you can say. You know, he's, like I said, it's just a phenomenal performance. I don't think I've ever seen anybody play it better.
Ronnie, thank you very much. We'll go back upstairs to Joe.
Okay, Tom Seaver, Tony Kubek, Kurt Gowdy. We're getting word from that weatherman, and we're going to give him a lot of credit. You know, sometimes we always plan, and pretty soon it goes astray, and we say that weatherman doesn't know what he's talking about. Well, when he's right, let's give him credit, because the rain has stopped. They say we're going to get going here about 10 minutes after 5, and the ground crew is getting the field ready. We'll be in good shape. So we'll just keep it here, be talking to some players, and right now Tony's got a fella I'm sure that we all want to listen to, because wherever he goes, you got excitement. Tony, I know you got Reggie Jackson there.
You bet. But what we're going to talk about, Joe, is not controversy, not the fuss that was made the other night. I want to talk to Reggie about his lumber. He's some kind of hitter, as everybody knows, especially at this time of the year with all the pressure. You got your lumber right there. It looks like it's got iron in it. What do you look for in a bat?
But Joe, there are a lot of people that... Joe.
Hold
no,
on.
I had Joe on my mind
on.
because he's trying to get me in controversy again. See, Tony, I'm a different type of a hitter. I like wide grain, and I specify from Frank Torrey, who runs Adirondack, to give me wide grain because I feel the wider the grain, the older the tree, the harder the wood. Now, inside, I was talking to Joe DiMaggio before the game, and he looked at my bat, and he said, boy, it looks like it's got iron in it. And he said, I said, well, this is my theory, Joe. And he said, well, I like mine closer together. Now, he's not a bad hitter. He's not a bad guy to listen to. But this is what works for me. And I also, my bats are top-heavy because I use a small handle. And I use a small handle because it gets the bat around a little bit quicker for me, Tony.
And this knob?
I like the knob because it's just something I've broken with and feels good. I think that if a kid or any ball player that breaks in, once you start in with something and you're successful with it, then you go on and stick with it. I also think that a bat is very personal, and whatever to you feels good, if you get results with it, keep using it.
Okay, what about lengths and weights?
Well, again, you know, certain people are different. I feel that, again, you should get something that is comfortable for you, and no matter what kind of stance you have or what kind of bat you have, you should be able to get that bat through the strike zone on time with the baseball, no matter where the pitch is, in or out. And that will tell you what kind of weight you should use in your bat. Some hitters, like a Matty Alou or even a Bucky Dent, who just try to make contact, will use a heavier bat to propel the ball and make it go a little bit further. And you have your hitters now. There are very few hitters that are using a 38, 39-ounce bat, which they used to use in the old days. I myself used to use a 36 or 37-ounce bat. I've gone down to whipping a bat. Guys like Jim Rice are using 34, 33 ounces. I'm using 33 and 34 ounces now.
All right, any special bat you use against Tommy John? And then the next question, is Tommy John throwing well tonight?
I don't use anything, you know, special, any special bat against Tommy John. I know since we were talking earlier, I wasn't going to divulge a secret, but I've gone to a shorter bat because pitchers try to pitch me in so much. So I've shortened my bat a little bit, and just the geometry thing, I think if you have a shorter pendulum, you'll get it around a little bit quicker. At least that's what I learned in school, so I'm trying to use that now.
What about...
Tommy John is throwing the ball well, I think, Tony. Again, you think that just maybe on 3 days rest he won't be quite as good, or you've seen him a couple of days ago, but he's a sinker baller. So if he's tired or his arm feels a little bit weary, then that ball is going to sink a lot more. He surprised me that he's thrown me mostly fastballs. I thought he may throw a few more breaking balls, especially being in Yankee Stadium.
Well, we were talking upstairs. The first time he faced in the World Series, he was pitching almost everybody else down, the sinker ball, breaking balls away to left-handed hitters, surrounding the plate on the right-handed hitters, catching the outside corner at times. But to you, one series at bat, he came inside you 3 times, as I recall.
Well, again, he did the same thing when he started me off last time. The book on me is to pitch me in, and almost any strong man, you have to pitch him in so that they don't extend their arms to get that bat on the baseball. Again, in this ballpark, if I'll go for a bite for a ball in, then he's got the opportunity to fool around with me or try to, in baseball terms or cliche, to try to mess with a guy, to try to foul him up. And he, being a veteran, knowing what he's doing with the baseball, you know, can get me in a hole and have me top a ball or swing at a bad pitch.
All right, your observations, the World Series up till this point. Anything about the Dodgers that has surprised you?
No, Tony, nothing the Dodgers have done has surprised me. They're an excellent baseball team. They're a champion. They're, I feel, a ball club to fear more in their ballpark because the dimensions of that ballpark are smaller. They're an emotional ball club. They always have been, I have felt. And I think that the part of the country that they're in, the fact that they have a lot of young ball players, and Tommy Lasorda is an emotional kind of a leader that, you know, when they're high and riding high, then they're going to be awfully difficult to beat. Reggie Smith scares me. He's not swinging a bat like he's capable of. If he catches fire, he's going to give us trouble. Defensively, what Greg Nettles did last night doesn't surprise me because I've seen him for 2 years. I saw him make 2 bad throws in 2 years. I've seen him make not 1,000 plays, but I've seen him make 100 plays without exaggeration, like he's done the last couple of days for the national television audience. So let's not get surprised and have the Yankees win.
All right, I'm going to throw something at you that has been a point of controversy, and I can't let you get away without a little controversy because you handle it so well. I wouldn't ask it of you. Some people said that Bob Lemon was voted just a half share. This is strictly a club matter, I know. But when it came out in some papers, and I don't think they really knew, you were very upset. if in fact Lemon did get a half share, weren't you? What are your observations on that?
Well, I don't know what his share was yet, Tony. There's a rule, Major League Rule 45. We don't know what it is yet. We will go over it now and look back and see what it is. We thought that his share would be taken care of. Billy Martin was here a certain amount of time. Bob Lemon was here a certain amount of time. Whatever their time was, they will get. And then, again, in that clubhouse and in the locker room, it's no one's business what goes on. It's kind of an unwritten rule. What you see here, what you say here, what you hear here. When you leave here, let it stay here. But, you know, the fact that the ball club has gotten a little bit into in a bad light, then I've kind of gone out of my way or tried to, try to explain things. But, again, you take some ball players on our pitching staff this year, Andy Messerschmidt, Don Gullett. They were on the ball club all year long. They were hurt, and they weren't here that long, but they got hurt in battle. So they were with the ball club all year, and we take that into consideration. If a guy hits 160 or 190 and Reggie Jackson hits 400, you still have to give the guy the same amount of money that the guy gets that hit 400 because they've been here all year long.
All right, Reggie Jackson, thanks. We see now that Tommy John is taking his warm-up tosses as the Harper's taking off. All the other players are getting loose. We know you want to get loose, too. Thank you so much.
Wish me luck.
Wish you luck.
Thank you.
I'm a Reggie Jackson fan. Let's go now upstairs to Joe Garagiola.
Okay, Tony Kubek. Ed Figueroa is in the Yankee bullpen. Loose enough, we're going to get going here. Tomorrow, just a reminder now that we're going to have a big day of sports. It begins with the NFL 78, 12:30 Eastern Time. Most of you will be seeing that Cleveland Brown-Pittsburgh Steeler game. And there's football in the air, obviously. And there's a lot of college games today. Let's find out from Charlie Jones what's happening.
Joe, before we start to update the college scores this afternoon, I would like to mention that in some parts of the country, another big game on NBC at 1 o'clock tomorrow afternoon Eastern Time, and that would be Seattle against Green Bay at Milwaukee. I mentioned that game because Lynn Dawson and I will be there. All right, let's look now at the college football scoreboard. Holy Cross 17 and Army nothing. That is the score in the second quarter of that ball game. Columbia leading Princeton 14-10, and in all honesty, I do not know if that's a final or what quarter. I do not have that on my information, but that's the latest information that we have. This is a final. Dartmouth down J.O. by a score of 10-3. Another final, Navy 31 and Duke 8. That was called a mistake, immediately followed by a halftime score. Alabama leading Florida at halftime 14-6. This is a final. Georgia Tech 24, Miami of Florida 19. That is a final. Miami of Ohio 29 and Marshall 3. That is a final. Mississippi 10, Kentucky nothing. That is a halftime score. Florida State 21, Mississippi State 14. That is a halftime score. Halftime score, Auburn 28 and Vanderbilt nothing as expected. North Carolina 31, Wake Forest 14. That is a third quarter score. Oh, this is interesting. At the half, Wisconsin 7 and Illinois 6. Again, that's a halftime score. Other scores that we have today during that rain delay at Yankee Stadium, a halftime score, Oklahoma leading Kansas 10-7. A halftime score, Missouri is leading Iowa State. And a final, Notre Dame 26, Pittsburgh 17. Let's go back now to Yankee Stadium and Joe Garagiola. Joe?
It's 0-0 here. We were in the bottom of the third, rain delay, but we're getting set to play baseball, and we're going to be right back. More action after these messages.